Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Retrograde. So this is a game that is going to be coming to PC via Steam, I believe near the end of March, so it's going to be like March 20th or so. But again, this is a game that is going to be coming out when I am actually probably gone for PAX, so I decided we should do, due diligence and cover it right now for people who might be interested when it comes out a little bit later. So Retrograde is a reverse space shooter is the way that it is being billed, but it's only a space shooter in kind of its presentation style. It is very much a pure rhythm game, basically down to its core. So if you're familiar with games like, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, you can basically consider this game to have what is akin to a note chart coming at us, and we're gonna have to tap out certain rhythms in certain patterns in order to succeed here. But it does have kind of a space shooter style aesthetic. It kind of reminds me visually of a game that I played a long time ago called Really Big Sky, which I believe is now available on PSN as well as the PC. But we're gonna get started here. Probably the closest comparison I can give to this game for now is a game like Rock Band Blitz. What I will say is I played about an hour of this game so far, and I think if you have any kind of footing in rhythm games whatsoever, like, I mean, I played a lot of Guitar Hero and Rock Band when I was, a little bit younger, not as gray-bearded as I am today, but the casual and medium core modes were far, far too easy. I'm on Pro, I think, and I'm just starting to get into stuff about halfway through the Pro campaign that is even slightly difficult. So as you can see, I'm on like level 5 here, but why don't we go back to like level 7? I liked this one a lot, and this should give you some idea of how this works. So basically the kind of conceit for this game, I'm just going to pause it for a brief second to explain what's going on, because, it's difficult to talk over these games while you're playing them at the same time and keeping your rhythm, especially considering I'm white. But in any case, we're playing as a spaceship dude here, and basically, we're traveling backwards in time. We've already defeated the boss. What we actually have to do now is get sent backwards in time and avoid creating a paradox by basically like repeating the actions that we took or reversing the actions that we took. It's a little bit of a weird kind of design choice for the game, but the way that it works is basically fundamentally the same as a rhythm game, so you don't have to be confused for too long. Basically what I'm doing here, I'm just tapping the A button on my Xbox 360 controller. I'm not actually sure how the PC controls work in this game, but it natively recognized the Xbox 360 controller, and that's how I played Rock Band Blitz. So that is basically why I booted into that right away. So the way that this works right now is we're just going to be avoiding the obstacles that come from our left and trying to hit the obstacles that come from our right. The idea being that the obstacles from the left are shots that the enemy fired at us in the past, and the obstacles on the right are shots that we fired at the enemy in the past, and believe it or not, we are trying to erase these again to avoid creating some sort of paradox or getting sucked into some kind of singularity or space word that I can insert here despite not knowing the meaning. But essentially... just want to make sure I'm getting the pattern right here. So notes are going to come at us. We're just going to hit the A button. I have no reason to believe that this would control worse on the PC, considering it is only like a one-button thing. And I'm just going to be trying to hit these as consistently as possible, almost like a DDR, if you will, to help myself get more points. And we're not doing high scores in this game. We're actually doing low scores, because the whole conceit is that we're traveling backwards through time. One thing I want to say is that this is very much a simple rhythm game, again, coming from a background of what I would consider slightly more difficult rhythm games. Not that they were the hardest difficult games in the world, it's not DJ Max Technica or anything, but having played a lot of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, this game starts off with a fairly slight learning curve, and it doesn't seem to get too difficult. I did fail a level once, but it was mostly due to frustration. I'm going to explain some of the problems that I have with this game and why I think it is not necessarily, the best rhythm game for you to possibly spend your money on a little bit later. But let me just say that the major complaint that I have so far in my hour or so of play is that I find this with a lot of rhythm games as a problem, but it seems to me like the interface is not visually disparate enough or distinct enough for me to reliably see the notes coming down. Like, everything is so kind of bloomed and oversaturated that it's a little bit difficult for me to tell which notes are coming where, and everything kind of blends together. So whenever I find myself missing notes, 90% of the time, it doesn't feel like I missed a note because I was incapable of, like, moving my hands to hit it. That was a good situation right there. It almost always feels like I simply just could not see it coming for me because, we do have these, like, the note charts. Each of the notes has like a line running through it that is the same color as the note itself, and it might seem like this helps keep things organized, but at the same time it also, in my opinion, makes it much more difficult to kind of parse these notes as they come at you, which is a real problem, for me at least. Maybe that's just my own personal thing. I kind of botched that. That one was not the game's fault. But I have a real problem. I mentioned this in a lot of other Let's Look Ats. When elements are not visually distinct from one another, then it feels like it's the game's fault, not mine, when mistakes happen, and that might be a short-sighted viewpoint. But I think, to a certain extent, this game has sacrificed function over form, which, you know, for me, I want my rhythm games, style is something for sure, but I mostly want my rhythm games to test my reflexes and my ability to kind of, like, remember patterns and kind of knock them out time after time, you know, in order to get as high a score as possible. Not that this is not a score attacking game, it totally is. But I kind of feel like that score attacking element is compromised by the fact that I think it's very difficult to see what the hell is going on. That was really bad on my part as well. I should explain some of the more very core fundamentals that are going on here as well. The meter on our left corresponds, like in the very top left, corresponds to the space-time continuum, which is basically this game's version of a health bar. So as we get hit, as we make mistakes, that will tick downwards, and when it ticks down all the way, that means we lose the level, but oftentimes you can rewind just a little bit, I guess technically fast forward a little bit, in order to, you know, rectify some mistakes. And then the game actually plays what you did forwards for you, which is kind of cool, but also it makes the music sound incredibly annoying. So, like, if you put this up and then you Alt-Tab, I find myself being aggravated really, really quickly. Anyway, I got 95.5 on that. We're in second place of all time. First on the shooter side. I don't even actually know what the rhythm mode here is, but I believe Retro Playthrough is actually just the guys at the studio who made the game. Unless this is this guy's Steam name, in which case he is real good. In any case, why don't we move on to this Rick Rollin' level now. There is actually a story, by the way. We're playing as Rick Rocket. All of these levels seem to have kind of like references to internet culture. A winner is you. I forget what game that's from, but that's a popular like internet meme. Play him off is like a keyboard cat thing, I guess. I am error almost kind of feels like the Binding of Isaac room, but I'm pretty sure that this is, you know, the Binding of Isaac was referencing something else when it said I am error. But in any case, Rick Rollin' is a pretty obvious one. So we're gonna try through this level and see if it gets a little trickier. There are some other kind of notes. Not every note is merely a tap. By the way, I have never played this before. That was a hold if you just saw me. Like, the missiles are like a fast tap, as you can see. I'm gonna fail this one, I think. Talking and playing at the same time on a mission I've never done before seems like a total disaster. But hey, maybe we can fail a mission. That would be something new for me. And the missiles are really fast taps. The lines are holds, kind of like a Elite Beat Agents or something like that. Let's keep this up for a second. I need to take a second just to get the rhythm of this song down. Okay, I think I understand it now. Let's try it again. It's always, you know, there's a couple of kinds of Let's Look Ats that I find weird and kind of overly difficult to do. One of them is rhythm games. Luckily, those don't come out all that often, but, you know, it's difficult to do these kind of videos with live commentary for rhythm games because you're trying to focus on the music at exactly the same time, and inevitably something is lost. Like, you're gonna have a much more enjoyable time playing this game than you are watching it. That's not to say that this is a fantastic game. Yeah, I just died. But we can rewind. I'm using the B button here because we have a retro rocket that can allow us to go back to before we made some of these mistakes that we made and try again. This is a terrible decision on my part, though. But yeah, you're trying to focus on the commentary as well as the music. But that's not to say this is a great game, but you would have a much better time if you were playing it for yourself. I assure you that. By the way, all of my criticisms should be kind of weighed against the fact that this is probably going to be pretty cheap. I just checked the Steam page before we got started here, and there actually is not a price available yet, but I believe this got a release on some other distribution platform before it got approved for Steam. I'm not sure if it was Desura or like Xbox Live Arcade or Xbox Live Indie Games or PSN, but I'm pretty sure that means it's very likely to fall in the $5 to $15 range. If I had to guess, I would say this is probably going to be a $10 game, but as always, you know, encourage you to take a look at the store page for yourself before blindly buying and then being angry at me for being wrong about the price. So let's just keep this up. We're actually surviving a lot better this time. What's kind of cool about this game is that in, you know, contrast to some other rhythm games, you are actually... Okay, now I botched it for real. Oh, no, we've still got a little retro rocket left. In contrast to a lot of rhythm games, you actually do... Oh, come on! You do have to look, not only at the, right side of the screen, but also on the left side of the screen, as well, in order to avoid those things coming after you. But it kind of doesn't change much because you already... this is going to be difficult to make sense while I'm talking here, but you kind of already have to be in only one correct position in order to hit a note. So having to avoid things doesn't really seem like that big of a deal, because you already, like, they're never going to put a note in a position where you're going to take damage to get it. Anyway, let's just fail this level and then go on to another one. I was almost done with that, but I think it's a really bad idea to jump into a super difficult level while I am still talking at the same time. So that was a bit of a slight on my ego, but in any case, why don't we check out a tough early level, which might even be easier than a pro later level. So this is how the game starts on level 10, because remember, we do start at technically the end of the game and work backwards from there. So this is us killing the final boss, but I'm just going to skip past the intro because I've seen it many, many times. It actually took me probably like 20-25 minutes to figure out where I should set the difficulty in this game, because I started on beginner, and beginner is just super easy, as you might expect. Just let me get the pattern down first here. And then I played medium, and medium was, again, too easy. And then I played pro, and pro was a little bit too easy, so I went up to tough. I'm not sure what happened there, but I went up to tough, and then tough was way too difficult, which is what we're playing right now. So I'm hoping I've gained some skills that will compensate for the fact that I'll be worse while I am playing it through and talking at the same time. But anyway, this is the first level, which I have seen many times. You do gain power-ups. Some of these notes, as you can see, are surrounded by kind of a field. Some of them just give us score bonuses. Some of them give us the over thruster, which I can hit with the right bumper here. I believe that doubles our multiplier on these individual notes. But if we're, you know, comparing this to something like Rock Band Blitz, which I think we should because they're both kind of in the similar price range and similar styles of games, I think Rock Band Blitz is definitely a preferable option for this, especially if you have Rock Band DLC. It does feature licensed music as well, which is kind of a plus in my decision. Not to say that the music in Retrograde is bad. There's times or certain tracks that I feel are a little generic, but apart from that, in general, I find the music in this game perfectly palatable. I'm not sure if it's really a selling point, which it probably should be given that this is a rhythm game, but by and large, I definitely do not consider it bad. My main complaint about this game is, and it's kind of a deal breaker for me, is that the visual elements are a little bit convoluted for me, and that makes it very difficult for me in real time to see where the notes are coming from. I would really appreciate it if it was just like, I would almost like white notes on a black background, or at least change the note chart to a color that is not the same. I'm fucking this up pretty badly. If you change the line through the note chart to a color that was not the same as the notes, I feel like it would be a lot easier for me to figure this out. 1 second. Again, I'm botching a lot of this, and I apologize for that, but partly that is because of talking. By the way, the one thing I'm not sure about that I should mention is I'm not sure if your space-time continuum meter actually replenishes. Like, if you hit notes, I'm not sure if it replenishes. We just did a power-up there that healed it. But I think that's the only way to heal it if you take damage. So it's not like, you know, a Dance Dance Revolution where you'll start doing badly and the meter will drop into the red or something, and then if you do better, it'll change back to the green. I think you actually have to hit those power-ups, but I'm not 100% sure. You know, it's kind of hard to look at the screen in the top left while you're hitting notes here as well. This is probably a little bit too difficult for me at this point. But that's okay. It's nice to see that there actually is like a fairly strong difficulty level in this game. I like that there's a wide variety of difficulty levels available for every kind of player, I suppose, depending on your affinity for rhythm games. But I feel like, you know, when it comes to rhythm games, I'm probably about average skills, so it was kind of disappointing to find that medium was so easy. And I mean, all I'm doing here is hitting one button essentially, so it doesn't take all that much brain power. It reminds me a lot of frequency and amplitude on like the PS2 as well. I think we're coming fairly close to the end of this level. By the way, if you miss these rockets, I don't think, or I should put it this way, I don't think you necessarily need to tap the button for each rocket that comes in. You might, but I don't think you lose points if you just tap it as fast as possible like I did right there. Oh, and also if you miss like the first few rockets, I don't think it matters either. But in any case, we're coming very close to the end of this level, at which point I will probably end the retrograde video. Oh, that was a bad time to lose my multiplier. Yeah, as we come to the end of this, I'll end the video because I've embarrassed myself enough, I would say. That's probably not going to be very good for us, but hey, let's see what our score is. Probably like 96, 97, 92. I'm bad, I guess. and we lost to retro playthrough, as we often do. So let's exit back out here. I should point out as we go to, let's check out Pro for a second. There are only 10 levels per campaign, and again, getting from 10 to 5 represented less than an hour of play for sure, probably about 40 minutes of play. These are probably going to get harder, I imagine, but certainly if you're looking for a long game, this might be it for you, but you're going to need to get some replayability out of it. If you're the kind of person who's just going to want to finish the campaign of this once, then it's probably going to be a length that is a little bit prohibitive for you, I would say. But the thing is, this is not a game that you should be playing just to finish it. Like, this is a game that's supposed to kind of draw you in and make you addicted so that you want to get the highest scores that you possibly can. I don't know if retrograde necessarily accomplishes that, at least for me. There are some challenge modes as well. We can get maybe a superficial look about what's going on here. This is kind of cool, actually, that it's got like this overworld scene. But so far, my experience with the campaign with retrograde, it's all right. I wish there was some kind of like, let me just check the options menu here quickly. If there was like an option to drop some, like if I go down to super low resolution or something, or advanced. Oh God, what have I done? I was wondering if maybe I could like make it even simpler to play, because I kind of just want like a straight up like vector graphic style. Unfortunately, I don't think that necessarily exists here, but in any case, this is Retrograde. It's going to be available somewhere within the $5 to $15 range on Steam as of, I believe, March 20th. But in any case, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will put a link in the video description to the store page for Retrograde if you're interested. My overall verdict is a little bit mixed, mostly because I feel like my ability to really get in the zone, you know, get in that flow state that rhythm games really aspire to get in, is hindered entirely by the fact that the game's a little visually convoluted. It looks nice, I like the presentation style, don't get me wrong, but I find that it does, you know, sacrifice the structure of the gameplay, if you will, for the style of the visuals, which is unfortunate in a game like this, where I really feel like gameplay is basically everything. But in any case, it's not totally awful. It's just leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth coming from what I would consider perhaps some more polished and addictive gameplay experiences within the rhythm genre. But in any case, again, there will be a link in the video description if you want to check out the store page for Retrograde once it is live. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.